Bad guys backed by Iran are worse for Israel than bad guys who are not supported by the Islamic Republic. That's what Israel's outgoing ambassador to the U.S., Michael Oren, said in his parting interview back in 2013. Well, the recent incident of Israel killing 6 Hezbollah fighters after an Israeli helicopter fired 2 missiles at their vehicle that included the killing of an Iranian general. In this edition of the debate, we'll analyze why Israel decided to go after the strike, calculated with intelligence behind it. Does it now confirm what has been deducted all along, that Israel does cooperate with the Daesh terrorists, the same ones that the U.S. and its regional allies claim to be fighting? And isn't it ironic that the 3 forces that have been successful in fighting these terrorists, Syria and Hezbollah on the ground and Iran in the role of military advice, are the ones that are being targeted?
Another Israeli assassination operation against Hezbollah. This time the target was a group of Hezbollah members, including the son of former top military commander Imad Boghniye, along with a senior field commander in the town of Konaitra in the Golan Heights. A commander of Iran's Islamic Revolution Guards Corps was also among the dead. The IRGC has confirmed that Brigadier General Muhammad Ali Allah Dadi was killed in the Israeli attack. The timing comes as both Hezbollah's leadership and senior Israeli officials have highlighted the movement's enhanced military capabilities.
2 days ago, Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah made a very tough statement on television. So there's a response. You'd say it, we say it also. And this is not a military operation, it's a security operation.
In a recent interview, Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah stated that Hezbollah could launch an extended offensive against Israel in a possible future conflict and reach areas as far as the Galilee, also known as Al-Jalil. Israel's past assassinations also appear to have come in retaliation to Hezbollah's significant military achievements. In February 2008, it assassinated top military commander Imad Boghniye, who played a pivotal role in the movement's victory in the July 2006 war. And in December 2013, it assassinated Chief Logistical Officer Hassan Laqis, who had played a major role in designing drones which successfully penetrated Israeli airspace. Hezbollah's response has been a pledge to retaliation at a time and place chosen by the resistance movement.
Hezbollah, from its history, from our experience, they always find a way to respond. So something will definitely happen. I don't expect a war now. You will get something similar, a security operation of some kind.
The UN has documented collaboration in the Golan Heights between Israel and Takfiri militants active in the area, and Hezbollah is considered a staunch enemy of both. Israel's latest assassination operation comes after Hezbollah and Iran helped Syria succeed in the war against its enemies. Therefore, it seems that Israel is escalating its involvement in Syria with the aim of turning the tide against the resistance axis on the Syrian battlefield. Ali Risk, PressTV, Beirut.
Our guests for this edition of the debate are Ibrahim Mousawi, who's a political analyst, joining us from Beirut. We have Philippe Assouline, who's a journalist and political commentator, joining us from Los Angeles. Gentlemen, welcome. Philippe Assouline, you have an Israeli helicopter that's carried out an attack. 2 strikes, hits a convoy. This happens in the Konaitra area, that's in the Syrian-controlled side of the Golan Heights. You have a sovereignty of another country violated again. What is your reaction to this attack?
That's what happens when the sovereignty of a nation is violated by Iran and Hezbollah planning attacks against Israel. Hassan Nasrallah on Thursday said he would commit unprecedented attacks against Israelis. And we know that when Hezbollah, which means Iran, attacks Israel, they attack civilians. These people were very close to the border planning an attack, and apparently, it's not been confirmed, but apparently the Israelis felt the need to eliminate this threat to its civilians. I think any country would act in the same way were it faced with the same threat.
Ibrahim Mousawi, going on a hunch, Israel attacked. Your reaction to Philippe Assouline there?
Well, I don't know where to start when I hear someone calling himself a journalist and a commentator. Maybe he doesn't know the alphabet of the region. Maybe he's brainwashed or he's completely ignorant about what's happening in this part of the world. This so-called state of Israel that he is supporting and that he is trying to defend, does nothing but to start wars and aggressions and invasions and massacres. A whole history that is being littered with bloodshed and massacres against the Palestinians. What can he say about the 1967 occupied territories? What can he say about the Gaza Strip that has been destroyed 3-4 times in less than a decade? What can he say about the siege that is being imposed against the Gaza people who are suffering since years and years? What can he say about Sabra and Shatila massacre in Lebanon 1982? What can he say about the Sabra, about the Grapes of Wrath aggression and Kana massacre in Lebanon 1996? Do we have to remind him that Israel occupied parts of Lebanon, parts of Syria, parts of Egypt, and of course occupied Palestine? What kind of a state that he's trying to defend? I believe that he is betraying the very logic that he is trying to defend when he talks about Israel, when he talks about a threat by Hezbollah, that Hezbollah is attacking the civilians. I want him to go and bring me some numbers about how many civilians the Israelis have killed and how many Hezbollah has killed. I mean, here you are talking about a genuine resistance by the Lebanese people trying to defend their fellow citizens, trying to liberate the occupied territories, and you are talking about a kind of so-called state that is being supported by the so-called international community, which does not give any importance for other people, for other lives, for other people are being considered with less value when it comes to this part of the world. So I believe he has to do his homework and study the assignment rather than going and supporting blindly the Israelis, unless he is someone who is being paid for by them.
Well, the rap sheet there, Philippe Assouline, given by Ibrahim Mousawi on Israel is evident. It's in the books. Now, as to whether you agree with it or not, that's a whole other story, maybe another program. But hold on. Now, tell me about the logic that's being followed when it comes to the Daesh terrorists. Maybe you can clarify it for us. You have the most successful ingredients that have been fighting the Daesh terrorists, and they have been namely Hezbollah, the Syrian government forces, and Iran in the military advisory role. But they're left out of the equation, and then Israel comes and attacks Hezbollah fighters. And then you have the U.S. and the regional countries supposedly fighting this war against the Daesh terrorists. Who's more successful, A, which is evident, and why are they being left out of the equation? Namely, Hezbollah, the Syrian government forces, and of course Iran in the role that they play.
So I'm not sure I understand your question. I'll note that your guest resorted to a litany of insults and accusations instead of addressing the point I made. I don't know what you mean by successful, but Hezbollah and Iran now are assisting the Assad regime in committing a near genocide against his own people. If that's your definition of success, then I don't think I can address your question properly.
That is not what I'm asking you. That is not what I said. What I said is regarding the terrorists, these Daesh terrorists. They're purely terrorists. Do you agree with that? Who's fighting that, and who is successful against the fight?
ISIS are terrorists.
I'm sorry?
I believe that ISIS are terrorists, obviously. Hezbollah are also terrorists, obviously, and they're fighting each other, unfortunately, at the expense of the Syrian people.
Great. The mindset
there,
Ibrahim Mousawi, of our guest there. You just heard the mindset of our guest there. Your reaction to Philippe Assouline?
Well, here we have to go and back and try to define the things. There is a power for definition. When we want to talk about definition, he is defining Hezbollah as a terrorist entity, terrorist party, terrorist group. And I tell him that his government is terrorist as well. Israel is the state of terrorism. What kind of approach he's saying? You talk to millions of people on the street in the Arab world. Anyway, it's one man's freedom fighter is another one's terrorist. I want him to define terrorism. What is terrorism according to him? Were they able in any way to define terrorism? Did they agree on a definition for terrorism? At this point, part of the world, Hezbollah is being considered as a resistance movement, a genuine one that is defending the people and also fighting against occupation.